Hi, and welcome to the VAPT series of the Bluedog Academy. When we introduced our automated vulnerability assessment and penetration testing suite, we introduced it in two separate modules to make it easier for reporting. We have the external vulnerability scanning server, which is all the tests done on infrastructure side of things. And we have on the right side here, the website, the sort of web app security service. Because VAPT, from our perspective, is based on two different sections. You have all infrastructure related stuff, and you have specific focus on web applications. Right now, I'll walk you through the vulnerability scans, the automated infrastructure test, where the Bluedog team and the Bluedog services are running through millions of tests on specific hosts, on assets that you have given us. And these are the results that you see over time. So when you walk through, you see the title here. You have to get ability to search on specific date ranges. We typically do these scans once a month. So if you want the previous version, you can just slide through, select the different time range, apply, and then you'll get the results for that specific month. So when I go back to the January timeframe, you'll see that this is the test executed on January 29th. So this is a very fresh test. And you see on the right side here that we have found 2 critical vulnerabilities, 17 high, 40 mediums, 6 lows, and an average score averaging it out on a 47%. 47% is how well we think you score, and 47 obviously is low. You see how many devices we have assessed with the color bar in that. We have, again, the green, the yellow, the orange, and the red. We found that 75% of all the assets assessed have got issues, and we have a total of 65 vulnerabilities. We then create a management summary for you where we iterate over what it is we found. So in this case, you see the vulnerability scan is 65 issues, an average of 21 per assessed IP, which is fairly high. Out of these 65 issues, 4 are considered critical. We have 15 highs, 40 mediums, and 6 low findings. We believe that it's very high, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a nice narrative around it with an overall state, with a short-term recommendation on what it is you have to do in this case. You have to assess and review your security baseline, etc. So this is a nice management type of summary. We also give a scope, an overview, the vulnerability overview. Which ports have we assessed? Well, from UDP perspective and TCP perspective, we scan all available ports, and an overview on the assessed host. And per host, you see which ports we've classified being open on the server, open, having issues. Then we categorize all the issues, meaning that we have grouped several issues together. And you see here, the majority of the medium issues are related to SSL and TLS management, encryption. We have an issue related to buffer overflows, which is in this case critical. We have SMTP problems, web server general issues, which is not grouped on a specific level. We have remote shell capabilities, and we have a denial of service capabilities. So that's one grouping of per categories that you can use that data to identify which area might need improvement from a governance and procedural perspective. You see SSL has the most. It might be good to review the encryption and how encryption is done type of policy. We also group issues per IP so that you can see which address and which of the assessed hosts have got the most issues, where the critical issues lie. And then we have the overview of all of the discovered issues. You can tab through it. You have a nice list of either 10 all the way up to 250. So if you want to see everything, or at least a lot, you can select 250. And then you can scroll through the table. We have multiple ways to sort it. You can sort it based upon threats, so that criticals are above. So you get critical, high, low, medium, because it's alphabetical. And if you want to have it on priority, you can search and categorize on score, where you have nice scores like that. You can also obviously decide to sort by name, sort by IP address, and all the differences in between. We have a search option, so you can filter on it. There are two ways to do that. You can filter based upon threat, for example. So you say, okay, I just want to have all high threats. So selecting it, press enter, and you have your filter only based on high threats. You also see that the charts are changing, and that's a really good overall issue. When you want to report on that, you can click on the reporting icon, and you have a couple of options. You have an option for main report only, which is just a one-pager. It only has the front page, and it doesn't include a list of discovered issues. Might be good for management that just wants to know a little bit more on information. So if you select that, you only have the first page. Remove filters. I mean, we have created filters here. If you want to have a report that has all raw data, hit the remove filter option. Otherwise, you get a report based upon the filters. And if you want to have a report which includes all the issue details, which we'll show you in a bit, you can select the issue details button. So if you hit print, the report will be generated for you. It takes a little while. If you include the issue details, it takes a lot longer because then a lot more requests are being made on the background. And when the report is done, you'll get a nice PDF document presented to you. So the report is done, and when you open the report, you see you have a really nice looking, clean look and feel. So you see the filters are included. You see the filters right here. We have the threat high filter included, and you have the nice list of discovered issues. When you would select main page only, you have a one-pager, which is this specific first page. That's the page you'll see. When we go into details on the issues, you can click through, and there are, oh, by the way, there's another way to do filters. You can use the search bar at the top, but you can also use the hourglass windows right here. So if you want to have all the issues for this specific IP address, just click the include button, and you'll only have issues related to this specific IP. You can also do it the other way around. If you want to have everything except this specific IP address, click the minus sign hourglass, and then you'll have a not IP this. And then you have all results except that specific IP. And that's really useful, for example, if you want to have a report that has everything except low issues, then you can filter out threat low, and then you only have your medium, high, and critical issues. Now, if you want to go into depth on what a specific item is, what a specific issue is, you can click on the item. And when you click on the item, you get the details of that specific item, where you have a description on what it is we found, the summary, some insights, if available, the impact, and solutions on what it is you have to do. On the right side, you have what we call issues over time, because vulnerability assessments are point-in-time exercises. They only report what's available right now. This is really important for you to understand how long this issue has been present in your network. And that's why we list all the occurrences we found for this specific issue on this specific host over time. And in this case, you see, first time we saw this was in the week of February 23rd to March 1st, 2020, in this case. It's a year old. So this issue is on this host for a very long time. And you also see that in the week of June 14th to June 21, this issue was not there. So sometimes hosts don't respond as well. Sometimes a host is offline. Sometimes a glitch in the matrix happens. So that's why continuous vulnerability scans are so important. A one-time vulnerability test is not a conclusive test. Also, what we show, if there are other hosts in the network that we scan, which is particularly relevant for issues like SSL, if we have an SSL issue, certificates expired. This is a good example. When you have other hosts with the same issue, you see that there are, on this specific IP address, multiple ports which have the exact same problem. This is really good to start grouping issues together. If you have different issues across different hosts with similar issues, you know what type of stuff you can prioritize to fix rapidly. And that's why the detailed description is so valuable. The issues over time, you see that this issue is there since August 2020. So this is in the network for quite a long time and it's not being addressed properly. So this, besides the technical vulnerability data that we have, gives you very decent and very deep insight on the patch management controls and vulnerability management controls from a governance and compliance point of view. So when you engage with the Bluedog CISO service, the virtual security solution that we have, where we become either the CISO of a company or a second line support for the CISO, we are using this data to steer and to manage security controls. We can improve the security maturity levels from your customers or for yourself to enhance and become better. Because if we see that this specific issue is in the network for close to 6 months now, because it's February 2021, so August is about 6 months ago, that means that something is wrong on the vulnerability and patch management levels inside the company. Either this issue goes unnoticed, it's unknown, or there is a reason why this issue has not been picked up. And that data is very, very important to note. What's also really important to know is that this is a managed service. So the Bluedog team is looking at your data, they're analyzing the issues that we found, and we are weeding out false positives for you. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to invest and spend time filtering through the data, figure out what's right and wrong. Every time we have an iteration of the data, we are looking through the information and we're weeding out issues, like the SMTP antivirus scanner, for example. We're not removing issues from this demo because it's easier for me to explain. But this would typically be something that the team is picking up on, because a lot of denial of service attacks on infrastructure are typically a glitch of either a firewall blocking something, passing something through, but blocking a response, or there's something in the line from us to the endpoint causing something to block up. So it might not be an actual denial of service, but it might be that there is something else underneath. And in this case, it's an example of someone trying to send a zip file into an SMTP server and something happened. But what happened might not be a denial of service, but us getting blocked by a firewall. So we are looking at that information for you, and thus we have the capability to weed out false positives, remove these from future scans, but we can also increase the threat and the severity of an issue, and we can decrease it. If we know where we're working on, we can tailor and tweak, and we will do it for you. We will tweak the information to make it have more business sense. I mean, if we do an internal scan, for example, if we connect through VPN to your environment and we know there were 5 lines deep in the network, SSL issues might be less relevant than when you have an SSL problem facing the public internet. That's on the infrastructure related part of the VAPT service. In the next video, we will discuss the web application service.